why did I start the company? Because that's it. I wanted to do that, something I really cared about. And I felt that other companies, if I just joined them, right, I wouldn't get to do LCA. It's just a kind of a side, it's whatever.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
วันนี้พระขออนุญาตพูดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษเพื่อที่จะสัมภาษณ์คนอเมริกันเชื้อสายไทยนะคะ Welcome back to the Mindful Business Podcast with me, Piya, the president of Create. We're going to have an English interview today because we have an American citizen with us, but he is Thai. So please welcome Piya Kerdlap ค่ะ
Hello.
Piya, can you please introduce yourself in full?Sure.
So my name is Piya Kerdlap. I was born and raised in the U.S. My parents are both Thai. They're immigrants, worked in the healthcare industry, hands-on jobs. And then I came over to Thailand, summer vacations. And then now I'm here doing research in environmental sustainability, some social justice stuff, and I run my own company.
Exactly what we're going to talk about today because Piya has such an interesting life and work and he's engaged in so many things. So let's get to it, Piya.
Sure.
All right. My first question to you is you're a life cycle analysis expert, LCA. Why is that important for sustainability and what is LCA? Can you just explain to us?
Sure. Life cycle assessment. I first learned about it actually in Thailand. There's a professor named Dr. Shabir Kiwala, and he is my teacher, mentor in this field of life cycle assessment. And life cycle assessment is this internationally recognized methodology for measuring the environmental impacts of any type of product or service across all its life cycle stages. So that looks at material extraction, processing, manufacturing, transport, consumption, use, reuse, and then final disposal, whether it's a recycling, a landfill, or any other type of process to manage the waste.
Yeah. So what did you do your bachelor in?
I did my bachelor's in environmental science at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Awesome. I love that school. So I did industrial design and my design school was really weird and ahead of its time. And we were talking about, not making more of cradle to grave. That's a term that was introduced to us as design students is how can we design things and systems and processes in a way that things don't go from the production to landfills. How can we save things from going to landfills because that's really bad for the planet, right? Many years later, I learned about LCA and I'm I wish I was an LCA expert like Piya, so I was really, really excited to meet him. We met many years ago, right? And we've been, accomplice in crime in sustainability.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be done, right? Not enough bodies and funding.
That's right. Yeah. So it's been super fun. But I really wanted to share Piya's expertise with my listeners and viewers. So does LCA kind of give you an idea of the carbon footprint of things like objects and services?
Yes, definitely the carbon footprint, but it's way more than that. I mean, so many people, they often say, oh, LCA, you're just measuring carbon. Actually, no, LCA is so much more broader. There's, look, on this planet, is carbon the only thing that gets released? No, there's toxins, there's water consumption, energy use, agricultural land use. So life cycle assessment measures all these different types of impact categories. And what's really important to kind of the aha moment for a lot of people is that there are trade-offs when you pick one thing over the other. One product will reduce carbon emissions, but it might increase water use. And that's something that's hard for people to grapple with a bit, right? Because I think a lot of people want this perfect solution that everything gets solved, right? But that's just not how the planet works. There are a few things, obviously you reduce consumption of things. Yes, you generally reduce environmental impacts, but when you have alternatives, usually there's always a slight trade-off and maybe there's not a trade-off, right? But that's where LCA comes in. We can actually measure these trade-offs and stuff and help make decisions.
Yeah. I would love to have an LCA calculator. Hint. For everything that we buy at the grocery store. So you can compare an H&M shirt that is made in China that you're buying in LA as opposed to H&M pants that are made in Cambodia, but you're buying them in Bangkok. Right? Yeah. So that's the type of thing that you can compare using LCA.
Yes, definitely. And it's interesting you say like you wish there's like an LCA calculator for everything. I think a lot of people wish for that, right? But what I also find from doing this work for so long is even if you have the results, people still don't change their behavior. It might not be something that's convenient for them, right?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
even, for me, for the past year and a half, I've actually tried to commit to not buying certain beverages because they just come in a single-use container, right? And I know from all the studies I've done that reusable always is better for the environment, and such. But not everyone can do that like me, right? Some people are really fixated on certain products and stuff. So the methodology really great for understanding, but the decision making that's a social thing, right? That is hard to actually implement in reality.
All right. Last question about LCA before we move on to you and more of your expertise. Does LCA really help to kind of propel circular economy?
Okay. Yes, and a little bit of no. I would say yes because it helps understand what are the environmental benefits, if there are benefits of circularity, right? So circularity, those are just activities that, prevent material from being wasted, keep them in circulation.
Cradle to cradle.
Yeah.
Instead of cradle to grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And LCA can help measure those environmental benefits or changes and stuff. But there are a few cases, during my PhD when I was reviewing papers and such, right? There are certain technologies where like, even if you go circular, it actually might be worse for the environment because the amount of energy you can use to like actually recycle the product is actually higher.
And transport.
Do a little bit of transport, right? But sometimes like the conversion process, even
like plastics.
Yeah, plastics and stuff. Even like Lego, they came out with a recyclable product, but then they have to like call that back because they realized from the LCA that it's actually better to use a certain material than the alternative and such. So that's where LCA is really helpful. You actually identify, misconceptions and such. So that's so that's LCA and circularity, right? So LCA doesn't necessarily say circularity is always good, but it's more like what are the environmental benefits and how much. That's
so cool. Thank you so much for the Lego example. It's like very, very visual. But yeah, another thing that I super admire about you is that you're an entrepreneur. Like you founded your own like LCA consultancy, right? Tell us about PXP.
Okay, so PXP, we are a international research consultancy. We have a team of 4 and we do research, quantitative and qualitative analysis for nonprofits, international development organizations, and companies to help them understand their environmental challenges and help make better decisions. They also advocate for better decision making. Such. And so we've done a lot of our work here in Southeast Asia, but actually as of last year, we've been doing our projects in East Africa, in Kenya and Uganda.
That is so cool. Tell us more.
Well, so what happened was that, we had this one client who worked with us 2 years ago. They liked the LCA work we did. It was about packaging and like, what do you do with multi-layer packaging that's really hard to recycle? Should we send it to RDF or should we send it to make these like kind of really strong boards?
What does it package?
Sorry, what?
What is it holding? What is it transporting?
Oh, so it's usually like, it's like kind of a beverages, right? So beverage cartons. So they're like multi-layer materials that it's really like expensive
like
actually.
Cartons, right?
Yeah.
Like milk cartons.
Right, exactly. And so like, from that side, they really liked working with us. They liked our approach to doing LCA because, there's people out there who do kind of like rapid data collection. But for us, our approach is we really kind of meet the companies where they are. And we spend a lot of time talking with them, like what is their process? Because they're the ones who are implementing their technology and such. So we really care about learning from them. So anyways, from that part, they really liked working with us. And so last year we did this program where there's an incubator and they're helping agri-food businesses in Kenya and Uganda go circular, but they want to measure what are the environmental benefits, if any, with going circular for their products. And so they had the first cohort last year. We're doing it again this year.
And how are you doing this, over there or remotely?
Remotely.
Aww.
Yeah, remotely. Obviously we do a lot of Zoom calls and such, things like that. Yet to fly over there, but maybe that'll happen at some point.
Okay.
But so far, like it's from what we've been able to accomplish even online, it's been pretty impressive. And the companies where they were these are SMEs too, right? They're not a big company, so they wouldn't be able to afford this, right? So they had this program pay for the LCA studies. And so by doing this, we're just really happy to work with SMEs.
You mean they have somebody like funding this?
Yeah, so there's a donor that's funding the whole program and they hired PXP to do these studies for these companies. And there was I think like 20 companies, and then through an interview process, we ended up picking with 4 companies that were like, the most mature, ready to kind of go through the process.
Yeah. And the donor, is it an international agency that is helping Ugandan SMEs or?
The organization is called Bopink. They're from the Netherlands, I believe, because the team I work with are in the Netherlands. So they're a foundation and they do these type of development programs. What's really cool is that for their program, they're taking quite a long-term view. So it's like we do the LCA studies, then they want to give a whole year for the farming companies to actually implement the changes. And then we'll do an end-line analysis, see, okay, like what changes were actually accomplished and how the environmental benefits changed through LCA and stuff.
Do you think that in Thailand we need more of this support for Thai SMEs to do LCA or other things to be more sustainable, like economically and socially and environmentally, not just one-dimensionally?
Yeah, no, I think SMEs really need it the most. If you look at all the big companies, they have the capacity to do it. They can hire anyone to do LCA studies. I think SMEs really need the support. And I'm not saying support like, direct funding to hire consultants to do the work. I think that's an inefficient way of using money. I think like if there's either a donor or like a government fund that can build a platform that allows SMEs to access at a very low cost or maybe free and such to actually do these life cycle assessments. I think, there's a lot of training programs for greenhouse gas emissions accounting. I think TGO, they're the Thai Greenhouse Gas Management Organization. They do a lot of support on this, right? But having some sort of tool that SMEs could access to do such activities would be really helpful. But software is one side. There's the data collection, which some people really struggle with and stuff.
That's so cool that you mentioned that because when I did the research for the Thailand Climate Tech Startup Guide 2 years ago for a Global Green Growth Initiative.
Good guide, by the way. I saw that came out.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your contribution. I think I bugged you on that a little bit too, right?
Bugged me. It was fun. Like, I linked up with some cool people, right?
Somebody, I don't think it was you, but somebody told me, I think one of the professors told me that you actually can get free LCA service under an entity within the Ministry of Higher Education and Science, under Mahesi. So I will look that up again and I'll post it in the link below or something. And I'll share that with you because you said what we found and we need more of this and nobody knows about it. And so we need to support Thai SMEs, y'all. All right.
For sure.
Okay. Cool. Moving on to more of you, Piya.
Wait, but let me just add one more thing. All right.
Yes, please.
SMEs, right? Yes, I believe we should support them, but at the same time, there's no incentive for them, right? To do these LCAs, that's the thing.
No, they have no idea.
It's like there's no like market driver, right? In Europe, right?
But what about CBAM? Should CBAM be like one of the drivers for Thai SMEs?
Yes, it should be one of the drivers.
Carbon border adjustment mechanism. Thank you.
Yes. So, there has to be like market drive. Like, why would you do an LCA? I mean, look, there's so many, everyone does financial accounting, right? Because if you don't do it, you have to pay taxes and all that stuff, right? With LCA and carbon footprinting, no one's really getting penalized yet.
Ooh, that's why. We don't have enough sticks. We only have mini carrots here.
Very baby carrots.
I like baby carrots too, but we need sticks in Thailand.
Got it. So, anyway, sorry, I interrupted your flow.
No, not at all. So, Piya, you're an entrepreneur. I'm not. And I'm so scared to be an entrepreneur. So tell me how it started for you. Like, because you started like young, like as an entrepreneur. And that's what I really admire about you. You came out of your PhD and you kind of went straight into forming your own company. Founders Why? Founders Why? I want to know why.
Why did I form?
Why were you so brave to do this?
Well, the thing is that like when I finished my PhD, I was in Singapore in my PhD, and this was actually during COVID. So in 2020, I was locked in Singapore. You can leave, but you can't really come back in at that time, right? So I said, okay, what am I going to do when I go back to Thailand, right, and be with my family? So I was okay, like I want to continue doing LCA. I don't want to go back to what I had previously done, and so I love LCA has been my passion since like 2011. I want to continue doing it. So I was okay. There aren't that many companies in Thailand that would really do something that I would be interested in and such, awesome. Right? And so I felt like, the game Tetris, right? If you fit in, you just disappear, right?
Tetris girl.
Yeah. So like, so that's what motivated me, right? And, with consulting, it's just my time. So I said, okay, why don't I just set up a company and see what works out? I had, connections. I had former clients and stuff. They were interested in circularity, LCA.
Amazing.
And so I just started there. And then eventually the work got a bit more than I expected.
But how did you meet the clients?
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time.
PhD?
No, it was mostly through development aid, right? So Asian Development Bank, I did a lot of work with them before on clean energy.
As a freelance consultant.
First, it was through like a bigger company, right? So I was staff at this one company. And then after that, I went to do my PhD. And then coming back, I decided to kind of revisit, those colleagues who are, so kind, and then just talk about what I was doing. And then just opportunities came up. People were getting interested in circularity. Yeah. There were certain people in the bank that really valued LCA and they had a specific application to it and such. Yeah. It was really cool. So with Asian Development Bank, they hired me and my team to do a study on bioplastics in Thailand.
So cool.
And what was really cool, like the turnaround for applications of this the finding, because about a few weeks after the study was done, ADB's private sector office, they were considering a bioplastics investment, but they need more information, right? You have to do due diligence. And so our policy brief came out right at the right time, and they used that to actually do due diligence interviews. And so that's a great example of like the applications of LCA, being aware of bigger issues like, beyond carbon stuff. Yeah.
Love it.
So why did I start the company? Because that's it. I wanted to do that's something I really cared about. Yeah. And I felt that other companies, if I just joined them, right, I wouldn't get to do LCA. It's just a kind of a side. It's whatever, right?
It used to be a side thing, right? Yeah. This is why I found it so amazing that you were like, I'm going to be an LCA company. Like, I thought it was just so cool.
Thanks.
So thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.